Hello and welcome back. So what are we doing today then? So last time we spoke, I was doing last minute bits, stuff that I needed to do along the way, speedo cable, some window trim. I've got the little connectors on there now, which are looking pretty suave. And wheel bearing stuff on this side, the left hand side of the vehicle. So today, what I want to do is I want to turn the van around, attack the right hand side of the vehicle, that front bearing, and then once we've done that, I need to drop the engine. Right, so before we go there, there's some things I want to do first before I want to start taking anything out of the engine bay and messing around with it there. So we'll do this first, we'll turn it around, and then we'll get there. We'll get there. It's fine. It's going to be fine. It's going to be okay. Right? It's going to be fine. So, if you haven't done already, pause the video now. Go and grab yourself a cup of tea. I'll turn this around, and then I'll meet you at this side. I'll quickly do that bearing, and then I'll join you in the engine bay. All right? Okay. Right. I'll see you in a bit. Right. It's such a shame, it starts straight up. Right, it's such a shame I've got to go into this engine, but it is what it is. You win some, lose some. It's all the same to me, really. Ah, forgot to move the... Well, that's a good job. Oh, I don't want to leave the engine running any longer than I need to. Whoops, I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot to take you out, didn't I? Sorry. Right, okay. Right, let's have a quick tidy up because this place is a bloody shit tip. Right, now we've finished that bearing. We can now move on to the engine, right? Now there's something that I want to do first before I start pulling anything off this engine, and that's to check the compression. So, boom. What I want to do first is I want to check the compression on each cylinder, because if I'm taking the pistons out and the balls out and all the rest of it, if I'm splitting this engine completely, I may as well do the diagnostics now, because if I need to change any piston rings or anything like that, this is going to be the time to do it. What I don't want to do is not check the compression, take it all to pieces, blow it all to bits, put it all back together, put it back in, and then for it to show no signs of improvement at all, etc, etc. So that's what we're going to do first. This is like a £10 special off eBay with really broken Chinese English instructions, but we're just going to go for it and see if it works. I've never used it before. We'll work it out. Now I want to disconnect the fuel pump because I don't want this engine to fire, of course, while I'm in there. So I'll try and get this ancient hose off here and then run it till it's dry, and then I can start the compression test. So these are the spark plugs. This is cylinder number 1. A little bit rich, maybe, not terrible. Number 2. Number 3. Not terrible, a little bit rich, and then 4. Not bad. Okay. Is 9 bar, cylinder 4. 28. Right. So I'm going to say 10. It was near as bloody, damn it. 35, 40, 45, 50. So everything is at 45. So this is 45, probably about 43, 43. This is the only one that's low, and that's 30. 130. This is 130, 142, 143, 145. So what I'm looking at is quite consistent across the board, apart from this one. Now this is our problem child. This is the one where I don't think that bore's seated properly, and this is where I think water's getting into the oil. And I know that because it's the only thing to around with. So, whether or not the bottom O-ring being compromised would impact a compression ratio test like this, I'm not sure. But again, we can go in, we can have a look at it afterwards. So to get in to the bottom of this piston, I'm going to have to take the bore out and then the piston out. So I'll have to split the engine, take the big end off and take this piston out completely so I can inspect it more when I get in there. Now the engine is held in by two methods. There's two processes that I'm going to have to attack to get this engine out. The first is mechanical and the second is ancillary. The extra bits. So mechanical is going to be the bolts holding the engine to the gearbox, and also the bolts holding the engine to the chassis. Mechanical. Ancillary or extra bits are going to be the water pipes, wiring, taking the fuel, the carburetor off, and extra bits. So once we've done those two things, the engine is then ready to come out. I'll start with the ancillary stuff, the extra stuff first, and then I'll move on to mechanical. Yeah, that's the plan. I've been dreading this. Disclaimer, right? Disclaimer. I've never owned a VW before. I've never worked on one before. I've never driven one. I've never took an engine out. I've never took an engine to pits. This is completely 100% new to me, and I've never been inside one of these engines before properly, apart from taking the head off and having a bit of a clean, is everything okay in there? I don't know what I'm doing. So there's potential mistakes inbound. I apologise. If you see them and I don't notice, or it's something I've missed, please put it down in the comments below. Okay, well, let's get on with it then. Fingers crossed, crossed your toes. Come on. So I just came to undo the cable for the alternator, and I'm not quite sure what the actual yeehaw has been going on, but this is, I'm very surprised this was working as well as it did. We've got rotten cables and it's just wow. I mean I'm pretty on the edge, but I've not seen anything that's a bit sketchy even for me. So I mean it's fine as long as it works, and it's safe, it's fine. But I think when they probably did it, it might have been safe, but now it's just reached a point where it's just not. So that'll have to be done again. That's fine. I'll just get a proper connector for them. Bare these two wires. I mean, wow. Wow. Anyway, let's get on with it. I'm almost ready to drop the coolant now, and the oil, which I'll probably do at the same time. So I'll drop everything, all the fluids out of everything, and then I can start disconnecting all these water hoses and stuff then. Cool. Now that is mostly everything off. All the fuel line, water line, everything's off and drained. The oil's draining now. I need to take this off. I'm going to take these side plates off, these side boards. I'm not sure whether or not this will come with the engine or not. I know it's attached here and attached to the chassis. I'm not sure what to do about that. I'll have a look in a second. But I'm about ready now to move on to the mechanical stuff. So the actual bolts and nuts holding the engine to the gearbox, which is the plan. So yes, I will have to remove this, because I'll have to move the gearbox or the engine this way to get it off the box, I think. Yes. More to think about. I don't know how to do this. There must be a way of doing it, but I was thinking of getting a jack underneath, taking the weight of the engine, undoing this entire chassis mount, this engine mount bar, which is which is bolted to the chassis and the engine attaches to, and then moving it away and then lowering it, and then we're away with it then. But for me to move it this way away from the gearbox off that spline, off the shaft, I'm going to have to take this out. So I've got the room to move. Yes. Okay, plan. Okay. Okay. This end wasn't actually that bad to get off. I had one broken bolt, but the other two came off, but they seem to be pretty, unusable. They were probably pretty unusable when they first put them on. I suppose cross-thread is nature's Loctite, I guess. So we've got that. The flange is good, the pipe looks good, and the seal ring looks fine. It's all along there. It looks like quite a popular place to go. What didn't help was these rubbers had completely perished, and it was only held by one on that side until I'd noticed and put these blue ones on. So I'm saying that's probably what's happened there. So I'll have to get a wire brush in there, wire wheel in there, and weld all that up. But that's no biggie. I mean, I just haven't got 500 quid for a new bloody exhaust, that's all. So I'll see if there's any decent second-hand ones knocking around, but I doubt it. These are starting to fight me. Right, I've got rid of the cowling, all the water stuff, and the oil filler neck and all the rest of it. I've started to undo these guys at the back. I've just undone the ones at the bottom. I'm just about to take the weight with a jack, and then I'll undo this cross member, and that's the engine out. Right, well that's the engine out. Point to note, I had the jack underneath the engine as I was lowering it, and as I separated the box from the engine, the box dropped. I realised there's nothing holding the gearbox onto there's nothing supporting it. So point to note, if you're going to do this, make sure you've got something under the gearbox. Luckily I don't think I broke anything. No wires snapped or anything, no lines broken, so it should be sound. Bearing feels good. Oh. And before you ask, I've measured it. There's not a bloody chance in hell I'm going to be able to get that in there. That was my sort of little secret idea, was I've had that spare engine. It's it's rebuilt just as a spare for that, but this one doesn't seem to want to die. It keeps going, so I thought potentially if I could move the gearbox forward about 5 inches, it'd still be bloody tight. But that's going to be the problem, because you can't go backwards. I don't want to cut any of this, because I've seen them where they stick out the back. I think it looks horrendous. So the box will have to go forward. Now there might be different kind of gearboxes that I could use. I don't know, I haven't looked into it. But I like the idea of keeping the original. Maybe I could adapt the mount. So if I could adapt this so that the gearbox is, well, I'm not going to be able to go any further forward than this cross member. This is what's going to stop me. So how far is that? It's probably about 4 inches. Length, size of my fist. So that's an extra 4 inches I could get out of it. Oh my god, it's going to be so bloody close. It's just not going to... Unfortunately, it's not going to work, that idea. I did have high hopes, but I'll have to go back into storage for another time, my friend. Bugger. That's a shame. I broke the distributor cap. It's all in the back. What the f... What am I doing? That was 90% back, that. Do not do that at home. Right. Okay, I'm going to see if I can show you now where I can see this has gone wrong. Okay, can you see that part of the... that isn't doing its job? And there's also right in there... oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong place. That little nipple there that's sticking out. That's not doing its job down there. A little bit sticking out there, but I think that's a little bit of sealant. But yeah, that's going to be the culprit down there. That there. So, from what I can see in here, me putting that O-ring in didn't really stand a chance. There's loads of residue, there's loads of gunk and like extra sealant and stuff that's all around the bottom of this. And it's just not, it just wouldn't have been able to do its job. Oh my god, I don't want to do it. If I pull this out, I have to take the engine to pieces. What do I do? I stand on the precipice now where I know that whatever I do next needs a new water pump. Whatever I do next could determine how much work I've got to do over the next few weeks. I'm not one for shying away from hard work, but if I can avoid it, you know. How far can I pull this out? Probably no more than that. Do I try and fish that out from here? I mean, I could. Alright, I'm going to try. I think there might be residue of another seal in there. So there might be two bloody seals trying to do the same job. Right. I'm going to do it. I'm going to leave the bore in for the time being. I'm going to try and fish all that out. There's loads of stuff that I missed. I'm going to try and get away with it. So I've just been doing a little bit of fishing and managed to fish this out, which looks like the correct size for the ring. And then after some more fishing, I found this and that, and then all of this. So that was the one I put in, I think, and then there was this still in there, this still in there, and all of this gunk was all over the shop. So I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but I might get a new one, smother it in the good stuff, wherever it is, the black stuff, and try and get it on over the, like I did last time. I don't know. So I know it's probably been about half an hour, about 25 minutes, but I think it's probably time for you to go and grab another cup of tea. Today, I've actually got one. The milk said the 8th of February. It's the 24th of February now, but it tasted all right, so I don't know, we'll give it a go. We're golden. Pause this now, go and grab a brew. I've got a plan, and I'm going to tell it to you. Oh yeah. So, while you're drinking that, I'll tell you what I've got, what the plan is, right? So I was doing some research. So over the past couple of weeks, it's been a couple of weeks since I've been in here previously, as you saw earlier in the video. And then I've been quite heavily involved in work and my actual job, and so I haven't had any time really to come and have a look and mess around with this. So during that time, what I did was I did a little bit of research. And there's a channel I used earlier in a couple of videos previously to this. It was an American chap called Vanagon, right? That's his channel. Go and have a look. If you want any technical data on anything to do with these engines, or the derivatives of them, or the others, VW, transporter engines, he's the man. He takes it all to pieces. He rebuilds them step by step, and he shows you everything. It's a fantastic channel. I can't endorse him enough because he's bloody saved my bacon. What I thought I had to do to take if I was going to remove this bore, oh me brew, bloody hell, it'll release the piston rings. Not cool, because then I thought that I would have to take them out by splitting the crankcase, undoing the big end to be able to take this piston out and then put it back in again from the inside out. That's not the case. I was wrong. So there's a way where I can get access to the gudgeon pin on the head of the piston. And what he did, because this is the water pump, right? And the water gets pumped through these channels down this pipe, which is not here, into that hole and through that side, right? To cool the cylinders. There's a hole between the block here and where this pump attaches to the block. And that gives you access to the gudgeon pin, so I can remove the head of this piston and this bore together. So that's what I'm going to do, hopefully. Okay, so great opportunity to look at the water pump, which looks, I mean, I don't want to jinx it, but it looks bloody great. Feels fab, looks great. The inside of that doesn't look fantastic, but the water pump part's about 40 quid. This part, over 140, it's like 120 odd quid, or it's a lot more money. So as long as it's not leaking, I'm happy to ignore that for the time being. Right, anyway, that's not why we're here. Let me show you this. Now you can see that passage where the water goes through into the engine. And if I rotate this, I should get to a point where I bloody hope, can you see there? Boom. Right. However, I didn't realise it could come out that far, the bore. And I might be able to get away with it here. But the beauty of taking this out, by pulling the gudgeon pin out and taking this out as an ensemble, I can get in there and clean it up properly. Yeah, which is what I'm going to do. Wow. But I'm going to take that, you can see that little C-clip, that retainer clip there. Whoop. I'm going to take that out, and then I've got a pull hammer that I'm going to pull this gudgeon pin out. I'm going to take this out as an ensemble, clean it out, change the ring properly, have a look at the seat, make sure that's good, and then put it all back together, put it in the van, and then never ever look at it ever again. All right, good. Now I've got that C-clip out. It's a pull hammer. You can get these off like eBay. Well, I don't use Amazon, so eBay, and it was what, 20 odd quid. And all it is, because the pin, I can't get through to it, so I have to pull it from the inside. I think it's a blind hole pull hammer. And as I screw this in, those splines spread out and grip the inside of what I'm trying to pull out. I mean, I've never used it. It'll probably break. And I'll be stuck with the gudgeon pin half the way out. So, yeah, there you go. So we'll see how we get on. So I was just trying to pull it out, realised it's not having it. There's another C-clip in the back, which is a bugger, so I'm not going to be able to pull that pin out. My next plan, which you can see I've already started, is to clean out round here. The only thing I'm going to be able to do now is clean this channel out as much as I can. I've already pulled out, oh, I'll never see that again, about half a ton of gunk. So I'm feeling a bit more confident about it. I'll just have to slide the new O-ring on this way and then put it in that way. Wow, can't believe I'm here again. But that's the only way I'm going to be able to do it. I can't get the pin out, can't get the piston off. So that's the way it's going to be, guys. So we're going to do this. I'm going to try and have a look down into the recess as best as I can and clean that out as best as I can. And then I'm just basically just cowboy the whole thing. So there you go. Stay tuned. Now you can see that there's nowhere where that O-ring is poking out like it was before, which is much better. It's looking much healthier down there. It looks like it's actually going to seal. So I'm just cleaning these now, ready for when the uppers come, the upper O-rings. And I can fit them and then I can get the head back on. Now the next thing that's holding me up now is I haven't got an upper. I haven't got an upper ring, which is a bugger. And also, whilst I was trying to clean this one, I tore this one as well. So I've ordered a couple of rings. I've ordered a new gasket for the head gasket because I could reuse this, but it's covered in gunk, and I thought I'm ordering these anyway, so I've bought another one. They're like 6 quid or something. So I've ordered 2 of those, a new cylinder ring because this had fell out and it looks a bit mucky, a new head gasket, and I've ordered some new engine mounts as well. So it doesn't matter how far I got today, I still wasn't going to be able to put the engine in anyway. So it's one of those days. So I'm going to clean this up now in preparation for the new upper rings when they come. And then I'm going to start reassembling some of this so that when the parts do come, I can just whack the head on and get it in. Easy. So I'm going to do that now. And then after that, while I'm waiting, the exhaust is blowing in a number of places. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grind that up and I'm going to try and weld that as well today. So I'll do this and then I'll catch up with you then. Flywheel bolts, little dab of Loctite. I have the blue one. I don't know the difference between the colours. All it does is just, it's added security. You want to lock your flywheel off, don't try and jam anything behind it. There's a small hole, get something through it just to hold it. And then with these, the torque setting is, it'll be in the manual, but you want to really go on these until you start to see stars. Ooh, and your elbow starts to wobble. And then you know you're all right. If you wake up on the floor all dazed, you've gone too far, you need to come off a little bit. Click, clack. Click, clack, yep. Click, clack. Click, clack, yep. We're good, we're golden, we're good. Beautiful. Okay, next we've got the clutch and the pressure plate. You want to make sure these are clean and you want to look at the surface on your flywheel as well. You want to make sure that there's no rust, no pitting, and that these are clean and that there's no scarring, because it'll just eat your clutch, man. It'll just eat your clutch. Same with this. What is that? Right, I'm going to get some emery paper on that. There's a small amount of corrosion there. So I'm just going to get an emery paper and just take that back. I'll do a little bit of this. Oh yeah, delicious. So there you go, that's gone now. You can see where I've been with the emery paper, but as long as this is flat and there's no grooves or ridges or there's nothing that's going to eat your clutch material, you're golden, baby. Okay, so leads us onto the clutch. Clutch itself, you can see there's plenty of material there, so I don't need to change that. Springs look good, there's nothing cracked, there's no damage. Yeah, we're cool, man, cool beans. Okay, so that sits quite neatly in there, and then your pressure plate goes on top. Take note of which way it goes in, all right? You've got this large recess this side and it's flat the other side. So that recess will sit inside there. It can't go that way because that recess will not sit in there. Won't do it. So it's got to go that way. And while I'm putting the ensemble together, there's 3 dowels. 1, 2, 3. Or 1, 2, 3, I suppose, if we're doing it properly. So we'll sit that in there. Make our lives a bit easier. And then there's 1. There's 2. There's 3. Now you don't want to tighten this up just yet, like immediately. You want to snug it and then you want to locate this as best you can. You should have a tool to do that, but of course I do not have the tool, so I'm going to do it without having the tool. Basically I'm just going to eyeball it pretty much. How many is there? 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Sexy times. And when you think it's right, what you want to do is then rotate it 90 degrees whilst looking down the hole. Right, I can see it needs to go that way a smidge. You line it up to where you think it is, turn it 90 degrees. Have another look, turn it 90 degrees. Have another look. 90 degrees, you guessed it, have another look. And then eventually as you rotate it, you'll have to finesse it into place. And then when you can turn it a full 360 whilst looking at it, and it doesn't look off with one eye, obviously, you don't use two eyes, one eye. Okay, it needs to come this way a tiny smooch. Oh. Yeah. Bollocks. It'll take a while. Buy the tool is basically what I'm saying. Exhaust. There's a couple of points at which it's broken and it's blowing. Here, which looks like someone's prepped to weld it and then just not bothered. And also on this joint as well. So you can see here that it's, don't mind this, it's so I can screw screws around corners. It looks like they've made a repair piece and it's blowing here where they've not welded it. So I'll bang a big old bogey in there, stop that from doing that. And also here, all along this crack. So I'm going to grind all that out and then fill all that with bogey as well. When do you bang that off? Good. Golden. Try and wear a welding jacket when you're doing it as well, not like a long sleeve top that you're just, you know, try and have less skin on show. I love it. I love welding rust. It's so easy. Oh. Ah. I mean, it's pretty good, man. I mean, it's welded. Don't know whether it's good or not, but it's not pretty at all. But it'll do the job. It's nothing structural, and it'll stop that from blowing. Excuse my French. That's where the hole was, which is now filled. And then this whole ensemble was loose, so I've welded that and the underside as well. So we've made progress with the engine. We know what we're doing next. Oh no, I've got a load of shite down the air intake. Okay, I'm waiting for upper rings for here, for this, and then I can get the head back on. Once head's back on, I can then do everything else toward it and then get the exhaust back on, get it back in the van, and then drive it. And then I can start concentrating on the next part, which is the interior of the van. I want to get in there. I want to get started on that. So it's my dad's birthday today as well. He's 76 today. I love him to pieces. Without him and his influence on me when I was a kid and as I was growing up, I'd never have this as a hobby. And it is a hobby. I'm not a mechanic. I'm not a professional. I'm not. You can tell I'm not a welder. But everything I've learned off him, and I love it to pieces. And I owe him a lot as an adult. And I know, and he watches my videos as well. So if you wouldn't mind, it'd mean a lot if you wished him happy birthday for me down in the comments, because he does watch the videos, and I know he reads the comments. So yeah, I'll be very grateful if you did that for us. I know this has been a road where it's been peaks and troughs, and I thought I was winning, and I've had to take it out. So yes, thank you for bearing with us. Thank you for bearing with me and watching along. Now, I know I said I was going to go into this engine, and in the end I didn't, because as soon as you split the crankcase it turns into a, oh yeah, complicators, maximum complicators. So I'm in the essence of trying to avoid that, and and I'm trying to do it for you guys at home as well. I'm not a professional, so for me to, even just one evening of reading how to do this, of like splitting the engine, the crankcase, and then going through it all, I was just like, that is way too much. Even for me, it's like, I can't do it. So like anyone else would do, I'm going to leave it alone, and I've tried to find an easy way around it, right? So that's what I've done. So thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please like the video and subscribe if you're not subscribed. I know things are quite slow at the minute, but with any luck, things will start picking up again. As soon as the weather starts getting better, I'm going to dig back into the Reliant Scimitar as well, because I need to get that. That needs to be done. I've got all the bits for that. I just need to do it. So there you go. That'll be in the pipeline as well as this, the van. I want to get this doing. I want to enjoy this summer. So enjoy the rest of your weekend. Please wish my dad a happy birthday. It really mean a lot to him. And I'll catch you next time. Oh, where's the tea? Tea? Oh.